We'll now call this regular meeting of the Area Planning Commission to order. Please rise if you can for a pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to take this opportunity while Bev gets things ready to welcome everyone tonight. We are here tonight for a public hearing as well as some other business on our agenda.
Okay,
We'll,
if I could explain real quickly then something while Bev's getting settled
Okay.
in about the way this works. Now, the Area Plan Commission's function is to hold the public hearing. And so the public hearing, they have three legal options as far as recommendations go. They can make a favorable recommendation, okay, they can make an unfavorable recommendation, and then they can make no recommendation, which is never recommended to do. So whatever the recommendation is, it's made to the Connersville City Council. Because a zoning map it's adopted by an actual piece of local legislation. And the only ones who can actually amend the actual legislation is the legislative body. So that's why after this, it would go to the Connersville City Council. So whatever the recommendation is by the Plan Commission tonight does not mean it is over. You still will have the opportunity to, and indeed the right to attend the city council meeting, where there's a positive, where there is not a positive for you, okay? But that's just a little administrative thing right there.
okay. Ready for? We'll now open with roll call, please.
Darren Price,
Here.
Bill Free,
Here.
Dale Munson,
Here.
Gary Naylor,
Present.
Robert Stewart, Brian Robb,
Here.
Bill Mackey,
Here.
Daryl Drew, Bill McDaniel,
Present?
Jeff Wessling,
Present.
and myself, Beverly.
She missed me again. Present.
Did I not? Tim Sparks, you're at the top of my list.
Skipped the top. Skipped the best, didn't she?
Right
I'm
up
on
here.
most people's list.
Yeah, but what kind of list is that?
Yeah.
Whose place
Okay.
did he take?
We do have a quorum. So we'll proceed on with the agenda. Are there any minutes tonight?
No, Beth did
approval.
not get a chance to get any today.
Okay. Seeing no minutes, we'll move on to the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for the public hearing. I'll read you the petition as filed. The zoning map amendment petition filed, rezone for 1020 Meyer Avenue, 501 Maple Street, 440 Arians Avenue, 508 Arians Avenue, from single-family residential R1 to a local business district LB. And I'll let the rest of it go there. So I'll entertain a motion to open the floor for the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dale, seconded by Darren, to open the floor for the public hearing. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. I'll declare the floor open for public hearing. At this time, we'll take any
Petitioner.
petitioner, the petitioner to state his case and his requests, and then from there, we'll open up the floor for any other questions or discussions.
Okay. Okay, now, what you want to do, in addition to just describing the business, how it functions, is that also relate as much as you can to the criteria that this board must find to make a favorable recommendation. So, you know, what you have in your application.
Will you be speaking for all of the addresses or just part of them?
All of them.
Okay, all right. If you could introduce yourself so that Bev could have it in the minutes and your residence address, right?
My personal address.
Your personal address. That's fine.
Hello, my name is Braden Parker. My personal address is 1713 North Grand Avenue here in Connersville. I've been in business since 2021. I own Parker Automotive. It is a service and repair shop, so I do general repairs on customers' vehicles. I've been in that building since July of '22. We've done quite a few improvements to that building to be able to use it for the purpose of the business. The property, 501 Maple Street, is adjacent to my building to the north. Whenever we had purchased that property, I contacted Brian Chapman to see what he was doing with the property, if he'd be interested in selling it. At the time, it was in some sort of limbo, but it was being unused. He gave me permission at that time to occupy and use the property for my business. At the time, I was unaware that there would be any zoning issue. I'm completely new to all this. I don't know exactly what zoning is, how those things work. I just assumed if it was your property, it's your property, and you can use it as you need to. I've made several improvements to the 501 Maple Street property from what its current state was. The use of that property, I park customer vehicles there, stage customer vehicles there that are waiting to be repaired or waiting on parts or approval from the customer. Sometimes that does take some time, so you will have cars sitting around for some extended period of time at some point. Every automotive shop has that. If you look at any other shop here in town, there are several vehicles sitting around, waiting on approval or parts or what have you. I was made aware of this issue from Randy Wolf. I was given an official complaint or notice that I was not within compliance. 24 hours from receiving that notice, I had all the vehicles moved off of that lot, any and all tires or debris that were included on the notice removed, and I've gone through all the steps that I've been asked to petition properly for it to be rezoned. I have no intention on being a nuisance or a bad neighbor to anyone in the neighborhood. All I'm trying to do is go through the correct steps to get it zoned properly and do what I need to do to make it work for everyone. Like I said, in no way am I trying to be a pain or a detriment to anyone for any reason. And whatever is needed to be done to get it rezoned or to make it favorable for the neighbors or the neighborhood, I'm willing to do. If the property isn't rezoned, it will be quite a detriment to my business. It will affect my ability to get customer vehicles into my building and service them properly. That's why I'm here this evening.
Okay, could you explain, because you provided a flow of the vehicles moving through and then off through 501. Could you explain to the board members of how that works and why you need to actually do that? Because I did have a board member ask me why that you need to actually make use of Maple Street.
Okay. So I installed a overhead garage door on the north end of my 1020 Meyer, well, the building that sits on 1020 Meyer, that address. There's an overhead garage door on the north end of that building. The way that the building is structured on the interior at this time where my automotive shop is, that was the only place that I could get ground level and install that door to be able to access that part of the building with vehicles. The property line of 1020 Meyer comes off of that back north side of the building only about 15 feet. So there's really no way to swing a customer's vehicle in there and get it inside that door, much less a trailer if I had a disabled vehicle. So it's necessary to have that property to be able to access that north end of the building.
Okay.
Is 501 a vacant lot?
Yes. At one time, there was a house on it. I don't know what year that was because it was purchased by Brian Chapman. He had that house demolished and leveled. At this time, there are no utilities or anything going to that property, and it was an empty vacant lot.
And for the board members' benefit is all the property cards are attached for every one of the parcels. I'm sure you've all seen that. And on the right side of those notes, that gives a little bit of the history on the demolition and the use and the value of the property.
Says the house was removed in 2013.
And you're speaking on 508 as
501.
well as 440 Arians, and 508 is also a bare lot,
Correct.
correct? Yeah, I thought it was. Being used for parking currently for 440
Correct.
Arians.
Yep. And, and those are being used for, that was purchased by Mrs. Borders to provide parking for her, other people who rent the businesses, for the tenants.
And 508 is well used for the gymnastics center.
Yes, it is.
'Cause I've parked there 4 times a week for several years.
Several, yes.
Several years.
As far as the rezone request for the Arians Avenue addresses, as well as my building on 1020 Meyer, those rezones were put in the petition as well, because whenever I petitioned for the 501 Maple Street, Bill McDaniel had made me aware that there was a discrepancy in the zoning map, and the zoning, when that zoning map was adopted in 1994, and he asked if I would put those in the petition as well so they could be amended properly.
Do you also have multiple businesses or tenants in your building?
I
Or-
have two,
Two, okay. Besides yourself?
correct.
Okay. And then I think the 440 has multiple tenants as well.
Yep.
Doesn't it, Bill?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Several, and it's been, and I don't currently know if other than from the east side, of course, HPH Engineering's down on the end, has been for a very, very long time. Then on the east side of it, there's, I think there's 2 potential tenancies, and I don't know if anybody's in those ones right now.
Okay.
There is a insurance company in one of the units on the east side.
Okay,
And then there's a beauty salon or barber shop on the northwestern side.
Yep.
So, a little bit of history, Bill. Did this just get overlooked when the original zoning was
I
created?
mean, I would like to think that's the case, but not having been involved with the zoning or the zoning discussions, when it was presented by metropolitan planners, I really can't say. It's
Because in my adulthood, I've always known that as businesses.
yeah, you always
On
have
that corner.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then another example is right, you go across the street, of course, it's zoned R1, but then you have the 2 on both sides of Westwood Boulevard, north and then south, on the south side are apartments.
Right.
So those are also zoned R1, which is, once again, it's another,
Incorrect.
yeah, it's another non-conforming use.
Right, okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Parker while he's up at the podium?
Just a quick question. It says that there's a privacy fence around 501 Maple. Is that an existing or is that going to be?
There is not currently a privacy fence.
Yeah. So the gate that you have listed here would open onto Maple Street?
No, it would be a sliding gate that would open along the existing fence. So it would not swing into traffic or into the 501 Maple Street. The privacy fence is not currently there. I do understand that vehicles sitting around, regardless of whatever state they're in, vehicles sitting around is not visually pleasing, especially it being adjoining to a neighborhood.
The residential neighborhood.
Right.
And,
Nobody's gonna wanna see that, so I'm very willing to put up a privacy fence.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I included that first photograph of the vehicles that are on Mr. Parker's property, is that those would be behind the fence also.
Yep. Okay.
So, would it absolutely be necessary for the success of the business to even have an entrance onto Maple Street?
It would be inconvenient if we didn't have an entrance that way, because I do have commercial carriers that do deliver large parts for vehicles, engines, transmissions, things of that sort. And they typically exit that way. They exit onto Maple Street and then go up to 8th. And I also use that as an exit for my truck and trailer. And it's typically easier to pull up into Maple Street there and try to back the trailer into the north end of the building there.
Because I know there are some concerns about using Maple that one way, the wrong direction. I listened to the council meeting,
Right.
and
So
I want to try to
alleviate that.
fix that problem
Right.
too.
So if my intention with building this fence and putting that gate in, that gate will remain closed unless there is someone traveling through it. So typically that gate would be closed and there's not going to be an entrance there unless myself or a carrier is currently using it at the time.
As an exit.
Correct.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Parker?
I'd just like to say that as far as 508 and the adjoining businesses, everything's always seemed well kept and you know, nice, pleasant looking. I know especially 508's been great to park vehicles for the gymnastics center.
I would like to add an explanation for a concern that I have heard, a concern that I had heard about my address and that 501 Maple Street are the amount of tires that were there. Whenever I first got into business, I've never disposed of tires before, didn't know how to do it. And once you buy a tire changer, customers start hearing you do tires. I did a lot in a short period of time. I contacted Rumpke, who are my trash service, and they do offer a tire pickup service, but they will not send a truck out until you have a minimum of 50 tires. So they won't send a truck because they say that the fuel surcharge is not, it's not worth it or viable until you have 50 tires. So I did have quite a few tires sitting there waiting to get that quantity. Once I was made aware that it was a concern, I tried to tarp them up, tried to do anything that I could to keep the mosquitoes down, keep water from getting in them. And once I was given this notice by Mr. Wolf, I immediately loaded them into a pickup truck and took them down to the transfer station and disposed of them.
I say, I drove up through there and didn't see any at that point, so.
What's your future game plan for tires?
Well, I'm just gonna have to go at the end of the week, every week, to the transfer station. I'll charge customers a surcharge for disposing of old tires, and every Friday, just have to load them and take them all down.
What is the fee for taking a tire down to the transfer
It
station?
is $3 a tire.
$3 a tire?
fees.
An auto tire.
Okay,
Wait, that's not mounted on a rim.
okay. And if it's mounted on a rim?
It's fine.
5, okay. It's probably beneficial information for other people who might be watching this also. Because that can be a problem a lot of places in town, and it's a nominal amount.
Any other questions from the board?
Your gate you're showing on this paper, is that right? Are you talking right here?
What is it?
That, the gate that they're showing here?
Yes, I'm sorry that
Is
I don't
that
have
right?
streets
Is
named,
that
but
roughly right here?
but yes. So what I've put in the petition is to put a gate along the east side against Maple Street here and then along this north border. Eventually, I would like to put a gate here as well. I just don't know how quick I'm gonna be able to do that. But yes, that gate would be right here, right across from the alley, and it would be a sliding gate against the existing fence.
Dale, he could probably show you better on the screen up there. I think it's,
I didn't look up there.
Yeah.
it's easier to see.
Yeah.
In that picture, there is a large tree that's no longer there, so it's kind of
That's an old picture.
part of where that gate would be.
Okay. And it appears as though the remaining tree that's back toward that rear property line, and that is what, approximately on the property line, that tree?
Which,
Oh, the tree,
okay, here's a better,
yeah.
okay, so that fence line is no longer there. This large tree that has the V in it, that is no longer there. So I guess that tree that you're right below, that.
Well,
tree
I was
is
talking
still
about
there.
the, down to the south of that, at the south end of that property, because there's a large tree down toward the rear of the property,
A 501.
a 501. Oh. Yeah. Okay, okay, now, yeah, just scroll a little bit more, now rotate.
That tree there?
Yeah.
It is no longer there.
Okay, okay, then
It's a
there,
full open
okay, then there was
lot.
one that was in line with it too,
Correct.
correct?
There's one that's direct, that tree there that you're pointing at, that tree is still existing and that is the property line.
Okay.
Appeared to be, when I went over there and looked, between 508, I think it is, Arians, and 501, there seemed to be an area of trees there. Is there a utilities right away through there or something? Is that why you
There is a
haven't
utilities
completely cleared that?
And it's, and it still has a city right of way.
Yeah.
There's a ditch right in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of an elevation change between 501 and 508.
Yeah, and I noticed that as well. Okay.
It looks more of a waterway,
Right.
in my opinion.
I wondered even if it was a platted alley.
I believe
It looks that way.
Farther up to the north, there is an alley. I think it just kind of
Yeah.
fades away.
Because as we get down to this point, is that, okay, these is actually a platted subdivision on the east side of Maple. Now, these properties and then also Mr. Bell's property are not actually platted as part of a subdivisions. And, there's a lot of parts of town where there's unplatted, unplatted properties like that you would think there would have been a subdivision, but that's a common thing through there's several places in the city and then also especially out in the county like that.
So the 501 Maple property, if the rezone is successful, it's your intentions to pursue purchasing that, or you are already in the process of purchasing?
It is my intention at that point to pursue purchasing it.
Okay.
We have verbal agreements, but there's no written.
There's no written agreement currently, okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other speakers for the petitioner? Yeah, sure.
My son would also like to speak on the character of Brady and his wife Justice.
Just state your names and your home address.
I am Cecilia Stewart, and this is Ethan Stewart. We live at 312 Canyon Parkway, which is literally 5 minutes from the shop. Brady is actually the mechanic that is working on my car. We have never had any issues as far as the ability to get in and out of the shop, the integrity of the way that he handles business. He has always been honest with us. The shop is well maintained. I haven't had any issues. There's not a lot of traffic in and out. There was not a lot of issues with parking my vehicle. There was a quick turnaround as far as the ability of having all of the vehicles there. Brady has also shown so much love for being a mechanic. He's inspired my son. That is that is his trade. Brady has also shown him that he can do it. He can set his mind to it at a young age. I feel that with Brady and Justice being their age, they deserve this chance to be able to keep their business open. They're doing what they need to do, and I don't see any reason to change that.
You have something to say, Jay? To add to that?
I don't know any mechanics that are willing to teach me my trade.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Anyone else with the petitioner?
My name is Heather Meek. I live at 1151 North County Road 325 East here in Connersville. I know right now this is zoned as a vacant lot, so the property taxes, I believe, are right around $70 a half. So you're getting $140 a year revenue off of this. Obviously, if you change it to a commercially zoned property, property taxes are going to increase, which is going to increase revenue for the city. So if we look at it from that point of view, it's a win-win for the city because you now have a lot that's obviously going to have improvements on it. It's currently all the way graveled. It's going to have a fence put on it, which is also going to increase your property tax revenue for this. So you're going to maybe triple what you're getting in revenue off of this piece of property. I am mom, so it also is, when I take a vehicle, you swing in that back way. I don't know how he would be able to run this business because that door is on that north end. There's no other way to get in that building. So without this lot and being able to swing in, he's basically dead in the water. We don't have many businesses in this town. We don't have a lot of people that want to start a business in this town. Why discourage that? I guess that's my thought. I know there's been some issues. I know there's been some complaints, and I feel like Brady addressed those within 24 hours of those issues being brought to him. He could have taken 10 days. He did it in 24 hours. So obviously he's willing to comply with anything that is asked of him once he's made aware of it. He's been made aware. He's taken all the steps to do everything he needs to do. So I just feel like this is just one more thing to help solidify him being able to stay in business and support his family. He is the only income in his household. If he can't use that building, what else is going to go in that building? If you can't use that lot, there's no way to get in that building, logically.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Chris Parker, 1508 Vermont Avenue, Brady's dad. Like his mom said, he's complied with all your assistant requests. And I just wish that you would agree in this so that you can continue this business more efficiently with that property.
Okay.
Very proud of this kid. I see a lot of kids out here at 24 doing not much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Mike Wade. I live at 502 Maple Street. I could say I'm arguably the closest one to him. So, I've heard a lot of things. Mosquitoes being one of the tires. Well, that picture's not really up to date, but there's a pool between my garage and my house. My daughter's in it every weekend. I've never had an issue with that. So, I don't really know where that all came from. As far as looks, as you can see in that picture, there was a tree that was rotted. There was a fence line. There was an abandoned house burnt down years ago, directly across my lot. You can see the foundation from the house. That fence line, it's been a mess for quite some time. I'll take what it looks like now any day over that. I'm happy he's done what he's done. There's cars there, yeah. I personally don't mind. The way I see it, he's trying to run a business, and he's doing a good job. Obviously, it's working. I mean, I work every day of my life too. I know what that's like. And to see somebody trying to do what's right, I love it. And to be totally honest with you, I've met this man 2 or 3 times. I really don't know him. Okay, but I'm happy with what he's doing. I really am. Worst case scenario, me personally, I don't mind, and I've told him that. I don't mind if he puts a fence up or not. But if it would make everybody happy if he put a fence up, I say you put the fence up and go for it. And keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing a great job. All right?
Thank you, appreciate it. Anyone else for the petition? All right, we'll move into those that oppose the recommendations of the rezone. Sure.
My name's Michael W. Bell. I've lived in my residence for 68 years. I talked to Mr. Parker, his dad, and Matt Brown, his other guy that's in the other end of the building doing motorcycle shops. And they told me the very same things that they've told you for 2 years, and they haven't done nothing. He's hauled off I don't know how many tires because I had Nick Brown on him in 23. Nick finally got him to haul off some tires. Randy Wolf this year finally got him to clear off the lot. And no sooner he cleared the lot off, he began putting stuff right back on the lot. There are a lot of tires on the lot right now. And Matt Brown at the other end operates a motorcycle shop right across from Frazee School, Frazee Park, and Playground. There's tires, motorcycle tires laying out there right now today that's still laying there. You can't sit out in my yard. I'm the adjoining neighbor. If you don't mind, I can walk up here and show you. This is an old picture. This circle driveway, that's my house sitting up there in my garage. And on that property all the way down to the adjoining 501 Maple, I do. And as far as the garage door, he has an overhead garage door on the west side of that building. If you pull it in some, I'll show you where it's at. You probably said better in overhead view. You probably can. But there's an overhead garage door with a ramp. You see that? Move it, mouse down just a little bit. Whoa.
North or south?
South. North. Okay, well.
Show the west wall of.
Right there is an overhead garage door entrance. It is. He's got room at the other end also to get a car and truck in. He has a right of way for it. But the thing about it is, I've talked to him several times, and he's not been nothing but a nuisance. He hasn't. He's backed into my yard with his trailer and tore up chunks of dirt. He's run over a landscape rock I've had and pushed it to the north a dozen times through the edge of my yard. He sprayed gravel up into my yard almost to my lilac bushes, and then drove his truck up into it and made ruts. So I've talked to him, he's told me what he's gonna do. Matt Brown told me what he was gonna do. His dad also talked to me and told me what he's gonna do, but nothing's been done. Well, anyhow, the neighbors, the majority of them, or almost all of them, has petitioned to oppose the rezone of 501 Maple and 1020 Meyer Avenue. They have. You want copies or the originals to look at?
We need the original.
These are the surrounding neighbors. The petition for 1020 Meyer Avenue, the petition for 501 Maple.
Okay, let's see. Matter rezoning amendment for parcel, part of Southeast Quarter, 23-14-12, 6.30 acres, 1020 Meyer Avenue from R1 Single Family Residence to be zoned to business. Parcel for two businesses are a motorcycle repair shop and a vehicle repair shop. This is a petition opposed to the change of the rezoning to 50, the above address described as parcel 12020 Meyer Avenue, 47331. Okay, it's Michael W. Bell, okay, oh, that's you, yeah. Okay, 1020 West 6th Street. Sorry about that, Mike.
That's okay.
Beth Bell, 1020 West 6th Street. Okay, Carletta Harris, 928 West 6th Street. Sue Hunchel, 721 Maple Street. 5 Nancy, is that Ainsley?
Ainsley.
Okay, 718 Maple Street. Okay, was that Bernard, was that Spears? BC? About it. 1211 West 8th Street. Okay, oh, Spivey, that's a Spivey. Okay, then Lois Spivey, 1211 West 8th Street. I can't read the next name down, but it's 1201 West 8th Street. Okay, then there's the Shane Martin, 1201 West 8th Street. Okay, then there's 522 Arians Avenue. There's Anthony, can't read the last name, but that's 1308 West 7th Street. Okay, there's Barbara Moore, 520 Arians. Randy Jones, 512 Arians. Kathy Jones, 512 Arians. Tyler Jarbo, 1313 West 6th Street. Okay, Amanda Rockwell, 1312 West 6th Street. I can't read the next one there. It's 528 West 16th Street. 10th Street.
Owner of the house.
Okay, owner of the house, okay. Then it's Joey Rout, 910 West 5th Street. 19 James Dare, 522 Arians Avenue. Ann Ruth Rose, 725 Maple Street. Charles B. Russell, 1203 West 8th Street. Stella Adams, 722 Beach Street. Okay, can't read the next one, but it's 613 Beach Street. Sheila Smith, 134, 734 Maple. Daryl Smith, 734 Maple. Is that what, Herdrick? 1109 West 8th. 1309 7th Street. Okay, then there's Albert Kunking, 602 Arians. James, was that Fry, 922 West 5th. Okay, Larissa Fry, 922 West 5th. And then Sarah O'Neill, 918 West 5th.
The second document is the exact same document, exact same signatures,
Okay.
except for it's describing the request on the parcel 501 Maple Street.
Okay. All right.
And the cars, he forgot to put storage, because he stores cars. He's had cars stored down there for, I know, well over a year. And Mr. Wood told me most of them belong to him. He did. I have all kind of information, and I have all kinds of pictures. I do. And that 1020 Myers was owned by Earl Grohl and was used for Alpine entertainment, storage of pool tables and arcade games. I have a plot map here showing that it was built, I believe, in 1953, before that. And then Joanne Borders was built in 1955. Mr. Grohl owned that also, and so it, as I say, I lived there 68 years, so I'm familiar with the neighborhood. I played there. I did. But I'll hand these pictures out, you can look at them. They're dated because my camera, you know, does that. Starting for when he first moved in, and that, and then currently. And the very and then it shows when the lot was cleared off, and then right after it shows when that I took pictures of. every fluid in a car is toxic. IDM and EPA is supposed to talk, and you're supposed to cooperate with them. But they sit out there and there's nothing but grass and some gravel he put down. And there's pictures of everywhere he put the gravel in my yard. This is a picture of my residence. It was built in 1870, it's 154 years old.
Is that the one listed as Bell's Botanicals there on the screen? Did you run a business out of that as well?
No, I run out of that garage down below. It's a home occupation.
Yeah, he did get a home occupation. He pays the, on a regular
I have
basis.
retail merchant's license, I have ginseng license, I'm fully legal. Whereas he's been illegal for 2 years almost, and why he's not been shut down is beyond me. He's made improvements, he told you to the building. Under your code, it says he's supposed to contact you for permission to do that. He has. Matt Brown is either living in the other end with his family or the camper right outside. He is. And the Maple Street, when it comes down to 6th Street, it turns into a one-way going south, north. It does. And he and his customers and Mr. Brown's customers on motorcycles and cars have continuously run the three-way stop sign. Even his wife with children, after I talked to him, he told him his children come off the hill on bikes and they play down there, but they, oh, I'm going to quit, I'm going to do this, but they don't do nothing. They don't. He works and he has no set hours. He works anytime he wants to. He's been down there as late as 12 or 1 o'clock before. Here's the day's picture showing the tires, and he's still using it for his purpose. Those tires, and that's on 501 Maple, that's still there, some of them. He did have it all cleared out there back there. I made little notes on it or something. He put a wood stove in it. Here's a picture of the end of the building on Myers Avenue, showing that it's right across the street from the Crazy Park and school grounds and playgrounds. Right around the end of this building, he's got stacks of motorcycle tires. I've known Mr. McDaniels for a long time, matter of fact. I filed a criminal complaint with him in 8/18/22, and nothing got done. I went to a commissioner meeting to talk to the commissioners. I believe Mr. Munson was there, and Dale Strong and the other lady. And I had pictures for them also. I did. But I talked to Bill. Bill said somehow he either misplaced the thing or something. And I talked to the attorney here, and I don't know what happened, but Mr. Chapman never got served with it. Instead, just a short period of time, Mr. McDaniel told me he'd give it to Mr. Parker. It was. It's a copy of the formal complaint I filed. That was August 18th of 2022. It was. He's a repeat violator. I've talked to Bill in 22 of it. I talked to Nick Grant, which was ordinance enforcement in 23 several different times. They kept saying it was zoned for business. I told them it wasn't zoned for business. I knew what it was zoned for. It was zoned R1 residential. It was. Now, you look at those pictures, every one of you board members, and tell me you want something like that right beside you when they get to you, or even in your neighborhood. I looked all your addresses up, see where you all live. Bill just lives right up the street from me, about 4 or 5 blocks on Acre Drive, along with Carol Hunter beside her. Ain't no way you guys would allow this would be in your neighborhood. He's not been nothing but a nuisance. I don't care, he puts up 10 fences, that don't keep in the mosquitoes, the rats, the mice, the possums, the coons, the feral cats. They don't. You know. Randy Wolf called me and told me he had it cleaned up, which I saw he did, because he gave him, I think, a 48-hour window. Well, he cleaned it up, but then he started putting his stuff right back in there. He had an R&L delivery truck in there today. He did. He had a truck from Herschel's that set it down there, been working on it for a while. But like I say, he's got other opportunities, but that neighborhood and residential area is not no place for a business of his sort. It's not. For mechanic and motorcycle shop.
Would you describe those buildings as commercial? I'm not familiar with the area. It certainly looks like they're commercial buildings.
That one was a lumber
You consider
company.
those residential buildings?
They're zone R1. They are.
No, I know, but I mean, do you consider them to be, in your just personal opinion, ignore the law, ignore
No,
zoning?
I have no problem with Joanne Porter. She's been an improvement. She's associated with school. She's did gymnastics for years and years and years. And that building there on Myers, it wouldn't be a problem either if it was office work or storage or something like that.
So
But
I guess what I'm trying to state is, it doesn't seem like a very strong argument to say that those shouldn't be commercial buildings.
Well, they
Right.
could be commercial buildings, but
Well, I mean, I'm asking you,
Yeah.
your
Yeah, I
opinion, that
agree.
should not, those
Yeah.
should not be commercial buildings?
yeah, I agree with
Okay,
you.
so your
Commercial
concern is
building.
the type of commercial entity that's in there?
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that's, I just wanna make sure
You
that's.
know, that's no place for a mechanic shop, right across from the playground and the school, Crazy Elementary School. Their kids walk up and down through there, yes. Well, in some of those pictures, you can see where he stored auto parts outside the building next to the street. You know, then kids get into everything. They do.
But if it's fenced off, that prevents them from getting into it, and
Pardon me?
if it's fenced off, how would it?
He wasn't fenced off that because it's right next to the street. He was sitting outside the building along the street. He did. In some of those pictures, he did.
I cannot say that I do not recognize.
And I don't know what paper he run the ad in, but I never saw it in Connersville paper. I guess you can just run it in any paper in any state you can't want to. Is that the fact?
That was published in the paper. I don't recall the exact date, but yeah, made the arrangements with the, up there in with the News Examiner through their Newcastle office.
So he run it in Newcastle?
No, because that's where you play the ad, place
Place
the
it.
ads.
It was
place
ran in
the-
the Cosville News Examiner.
What
It's, you
date
place
was
it
that
through.
on?
Okay. All right. All the ads go through one office for the multiple newspapers in the area. It's the newspaper that is in Newcastle. It's the same company. That's who is
I
made through.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and then those are done through by the internet. I send the copies of the ads to, property owner, and then also to the newspaper.
Well, I've never got no copy of the property. I never got no copy of that. I got a certified letter in the mail, but I never saw the ad in the paper or got a copy of it. I never.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Bell? From the board? I think, Mr. Bell, it's safe to say, I think I can say it for all of us. the properties that are in question for a rezone in probably our adulthood, they've never been used as R1.
Well, no,
Have they?
no, they
Okay,
haven't.
all right. That's,
They haven't been.
they've always been used for business.
Well, indoor business,
I'm sorry?
indoor business. Like Alpine Entertainment, they use it just for storage only.
But
That's
they
why-
never sat outside loading or
Well,
unloading.
he backed the truck up to that door that I just showed you, and they
Yeah.
unloaded the pool table arcade games and took them
Right.
inside. But no.
And I
they didn't
remember
do
that
anything with
as
that.
well.
They didn't.
Okay, all right, thank
And
you.
the lot next to it has always been zoned for residential, 501 Maple has.
All of it
He has
that
not
that is
had
in
any
question has been,
improvements to it. If anything, he's made it worse. Now there's chemicals, so every time you bring cars in, that's older cars, they leak fluids of some type. Whether it be antifreeze, oil, power steering fluid, brake fluid, because some of that stuff's gotta be repaired. So all he's doing is contaminating the soil that's there already. He has.
so
And the cars have been stored there longer than any 20 days, I can tell you that right now.
is West Western between Third Street and Eighth Street, a good place for auto repair
Well,
shops?
it seems to be okay with Hoagie and Grohl down there, but I've drove by other places and they keep it fairly clean. Same way with, the guy over on Eastern and Third Street that's got the little shop. I drove by several of them. I even went to All Stars that does body repair work and drove around it. They brought the old church parking lot, tore it down. It was nice and clean, nothing, no tires, no parts. Yeah, he's just not conforming to the same aspects as they do. He's not. If you kind of see those pictures and see what I'm talking about, I don't know. I know good and well, let's see, Gary, I don't know where you live at that time, because you got, but I know you wouldn't want that beside you, and you wouldn't want it in your neighborhood. Yeah, I would recommend a lot of businesses be in there. I would, but not no motor, and he don't say nothing about storage, but he stores cars there too. No, you don't know that there, that's for sure.
Okay, all right, thank you.
If you could pass me the pictures and everything else that's been submitted, that's part of the permanent, part of our record.
That's all.
Yeah, so,
Do you keep all that?
yes.
Well, I'd like to get copies of it then.
You'll have to stop by the office next week after I'm back in the office.
Okay. Are there anybody else that would like to speak in opposition of the rezone?
Okay, now Mr. Parker has the right of rebuttal.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
No other one speakers. Yes, ma'am?
I'm Beth Bell, and I don't like, because I got grandkids, and they play out, and I watch them on the road, because I have to get out there with them, because when cars come up and down through our flying, if they want to go, why don't they go up there on beach, come down through the alley, right to make one they raise truck. And okay, he keeps it clean. Well, I found stuff in my yard, I just take it back over and throw it in their yard, their neighbors has found it too. And he don't mow, he don't take care of nothing. He don't mow. I'm 66, and I get out there and mow and weed eat and spray and take care of my yard. I'm not gonna have them weeds growing up on my side and have to get out there and clean them when he won't get out there. He's a heck of a lot younger than I am. And I work hard at what I do. And I take pride in my own. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition of the rezone? Mr. Parker, would you like to speak again as a rebuttal of anything that's been brought up tonight?
So I don't have a list of all of Mike's concerns, so I'm sure I'm not gonna hit all of them. Have I neglected some things on the property? I'm sure. But I'm 24 years old, I have 3 children at home, and I do work quite a few hours, so I'm sure there are some times that the grass may have not have gotten mowed for a week or so. And I'm sure that the cars sitting there are unpleasing to the neighborhood, to the neighbors. I don't store any of my personal cars there. I had 2 of my personal trucks there for quite some time. They have since been moved, since I've been made aware this was an issue. They were there to be repaired, to be worked on. They weren't just there to be a nuisance or to be an eyesore. There were a few cars adjoining, close to the property line adjoining Mr. Bell, that were there for some time. That northwest corner of that property, I kind of put the cars that were going to be there for a while there because they were out of the way. They weren't in the direct right-of-way of normal business and flow. They were out of the way there, and they were waiting on customer approval or parts to come in or customer to answer the phone or be able to get a hold back of them. Every automotive shop is going to deal with that. As far as the trash goes, I do the best that I can to keep that lot clean, but since I put that gravel through there and taken that fence line out, a lot of the public uses that. Kids do walk through to go down to the playground, people walk through. This is Connorsville. Unfortunately, we deal with the drug epidemic. I picked up several hypodermic needles in my gravel in my driveway. It's just something you're going to deal with. People are going to drop wrappers. People are going to drop cups. The trash is everywhere. You can't get every piece of it. Pick it up when I can. As far as the one-way street, I do not intentionally run that stop sign. I do not intentionally go the wrong way on that one-way. Have there been times when I did come down that way, the opposite way? Absolutely. Sometimes I have something on the trailer. It's just not accessible from the other way. It's going to be more convenient to come through that way. I try my best to stop at the stop sign, make sure I'm not hindering anyone. It was just an easier way to get into the property. As far as anybody else driving down that way, it's a public roadway. I can't stop people from doing anything more than Mr. Bell can. I mean, there's nothing I can do about people running that stop sign and going the wrong way. Whether they're my customers or anybody else's, they're adults. As far as cars leaching anything into the soil, I would not detriment something like that because in the end it's going to fall on me. You know, if that soil is contaminated and the test is done, it's going to come back on me and I'm going to have to answer for that. So I've never parked anything out there intentionally that's leached antifreeze or oil or brake fluid into the soil for that reason. I'm not sure what else to say. I do the best that I can. As far as the complaint was made in August of 2022, I was never presented with anything. I was never presented with a complaint or an issue from anybody or any public or governing body or anything that could be done. So that's why nothing was done at that point. As far as the gravel in his driveway, I did not personally deliver that gravel or drop the gravel. I had a company bring the gravel in. They dropped a triaxle dump truck. The gravel is going to spill over. You know, there's not a hard barrier there. It's a property line. Mr. Bell made me aware of it. I immediately messaged a friend of mine that lives a couple blocks away and asked him if he would bring his tractor, back drag that gravel back over the property line, and asked him very carefully not to damage Mr. Bell's property because he is particular about it for good reason. It's a nice property. And it took him a couple of weeks to get out because he's busy and has a life and got a job as well. But it was taken care of.
Any other questions? Are there any other statements that would like to be made
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
before we close?
My son has done everything to comply with your guys' requests, things like that, since this has become an issue. I think Mr. Bell's just having a problem with changing his neighborhood. If this is approved, I don't see why a fence would not solve all these issues. We keep people out of it, keep children from being able to get into the property, and then we're not be able to sell those cars when the fence was up. Obviously, we're not gonna put a fence up if we can't buy the property and use it, so. Really don't have any other issues from anyone else. I think it's just a personal thing with Mr. Bell. That's all.
Any other comments? Mr. Parker?
Mr. Bell had said something about after the property was cleared out that I had begun putting vehicles back on that property. The vehicles that have been parked on that property have been my personal transportation as well as employee cars, or a vehicle that I was unable to move at the time, and I took care of them promptly. I had express permission from Bill McDaniel. I went down and spoke to Mr. McDaniel about the ability to park my personal vehicles and my customers' vehicles for a 24-hour period on 501 Maple Street, just to allow the access of parking to the tenants that are in my building and my customers as well. Because I had to take all of those vehicles from that lot and try to pack them into my parking lot and inconvenience my tenants. So Mr. McDaniel said as long as it was within a 24-hour period or reason, I could park my truck, trailer, and employee vehicle there within 24 hours. Mr. Bell had mentioned the Hartzell's truck. There's a box truck that Hartzell's here in town owns. They had brought it because the air brakes were not operating correctly. And until I had the parts in, it did take about a week to get those parts in, but until I had those parts in, there was no way to safely and effectively move that vehicle due to the lack of brakes. It was unsafe and unnecessary to move it until I had those parts in. And that's why that vehicle had sat there for so long.
Okay, thank you.
How many employees do you have? Is it just you, or is it?
I have two. My wife works in the office and my father-in-law helps me in the shop.
And you said currently you have 2 other tenants,
Correct.
business tenants?
No,
Just
just one.
one business tenant and a residential. Okay, how, if that's rezoned then to local business, how will that
Okay,
affect the
okay.
residential?
Dwellings, residential, whether it's, within a commercial structure, or whether it's on its own, they're still allowed, and dwellings are allowed in local business
Local
district.
business, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, like, we've got some places down here downtown that people live above them.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
The motorcycle shop up on 12th Street that was there, they used to troll, and his partner used to live in there and work on motorcycles up there, because I lived across the street from them, and the mechanic shop up there also.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak today? Yes, young man.
So I go to Frazee Elementary right across the street, and I know the dad that works in front of his shop, and he is a well-care man. He picks up everything, picks up trash, he doesn't leave anything around. And he picks up everything that he can, even with his hands if it's dirty. And he doesn't leave anything around, and every time I go to recess, I walk over to that swing set that he said had tires on it, and I see no tires, I see no motorcycle things. And it was so clean that nobody's ever been there.
All right, thank you.
As far as the one-way goes, I will be honest, I went down that one-way myself, the opposite direction. I didn't see the sign from the other side. There's not a lot of signs that says that that's a one-way until you get right on the other side of the building. It's right there at the building as you're coming out of the driveway. That's the only way. It's not on the other side of the street. So I've come that way myself. As far as claiming that his wife and with her kids in the car have come that way, that's not fair. That's not something that should have even been brought up, because she wouldn't put her kids in jeopardy like that, neither would Brady. As far as the shop itself, I don't have any issues. My car was there less than 2 weeks. He fixed it, he got it in there, hauled it in there. Only way he could get in was coming the back way, because he had to pick it up from the other side of town. He had to come in off of the side street. There's only one, you can hardly get a big truck in through the front of the building. He has no other way to get the vehicles into that lot to get into the garage door. There is only one garage door. There's no other garage door in the building. It's on the back side of the building. He had no way to get my car in there any other way. I have an SUV. He's done worked on it. He's finished it. He's already returned it to me. I've never seen a car there longer than a couple weeks. If that, anybody that's gotten a car fixed knows that you can't get it back overnight. He deserves the chance to keep his business going. This is his dream. he deserves the opportunity to be able to show everybody that he can do what he set out to do without having everybody on against him. I am all for Parker Automotive. I know at least 25 people in my neighborhood that are okay with it, including the principal at Frazee. She has no issues with it. I've never seen anybody have any other complaints against Brady.
You're gonna have to, yeah, you're gonna have to, you just can't keep going back and
I
forth,
understand.
regurgitating the same exact things.
Okay, with all that in mind, I think we have enough information that we can discuss among ourselves and make a decision on the rezone. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
Second.
So motion made and seconded that we close the public hearing for the petition filed for rezone. Any other discussion or questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. That will end our public hearing. It will now be discussion with the board, members only.
For a moment, you can have the discussion without me.
Okay. Okay. All right. So with this in mind, I'll open up the floor for discussion of the board members. Questions, comments?
Mr. Wolf,
Well, wait a minute. Can you wait a minute?
Mr. Munson has a
I got
question
a
for you.
question for him.
Oh, put him on this hot seat.
Have you received any more complaints or anything regarding property?
Regarding Brady's or an adjoining property?
The 501.
No. Just a single complaint that I addressed, and it was remediated within 24 hours.
And then nothing else after that?
Not on that property.
Any of the 4 properties that are up for rezone?
No, but I'm currently investigating complaints on Mr. Bell's property.
Okay.
Was there,
But it's,
I'm
For
sorry.
operating a business.
I'm sorry, was there anything about 508 Arians by
By
chance?
areas, which one's that?
the bear lot.
Right there, yeah.
Or I'm sorry, 510. I'm sorry, 510 with the house, or the garage that's right there.
The 510 is the garage.
Here you go.
It'd be,
Brandon.
now it's all
It'd be
stone.
this property right here.
Yeah, right here.
Brandy, you want,
Yeah.
that help you?
508, 510.
So he's asking about this one right here, yeah.
This one. I was just curious if
Okay,
anything's
so
been
that's
brought
the-
up about it.
Yes, they have brought up, so far all I've heard are rumors. I haven't been able to speak to the property owner to find out if they are planning to open a business at this point. They've seen some work being done, they've seen a new water line going in, and then somebody talked to somebody who talked to somebody who talked to me to say, hey, they're putting a business in there. So I can't do anything until I see some actual actionable things happening on the property before I can address it at that location. One of the other adjoining locations though is Mr. Bell's, and I'm currently reviewing information on operating a home-based business out of his location. So there are other businesses operating out of homes in the area.
Because I've seen quite a few auto parts coming in and out of 510. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, otherwise, like, I have received a call that's noted in there, and I drive by at least once a week, just to see if I see any other activity going on, but I've seen nothing else, there's nothing outside to indicate that there's any business that's happening at that location yet.
If you don't
Thank you.
mind, Randy, and I kind of know this because of our relationship together and working together a little bit on some other items.
Sure.
But once you receive a complaint and file the proper paperwork to have it corrected,
Mhm.
you do quite a bit of follow-up afterwards
I do.
to make sure that it's not re-violated or anything,
Yes.
don't you? I thought so. So you've been kind of keeping an eye on things to make sure that Mr. Parker stays in compliance with the city ordinances,
Yes.
the cleanup ordinances, you know.
Yeah, he took care of all the tire situation that we had, and I talked to him about that, I talked to him about the vehicles, and literally 24 hours later, it was done. I reached out to Mr. Bell, asked him if it was okay if I went ahead and closed that file. And he said, yes, everything's been moved and taken care of, and I even informed him at that point that Mr. Parker was planning on getting a rezone so that it could match the other buildings in the area, and at that point, he seemed okay with it, and he said, that's fine, as long as it's done correctly.
In your opinion, would the fence greatly help
Yes.
or help?
It would block the view, absolutely. Similar with our scrap yards in town that require a fence. No one wants to see the continual piles of rubbish coming up and down as they're coming in and out. So, I do believe so.
Once you put the fence up too, that doesn't mean what goes on behind the fence, you get to do whatever you automatically get to do, just because you can't see it. Because we had the problem with other places in the city with that, which
I'm working on a couple of properties.
You're working on. So, you know, the fence is the thing that can take care of a lot of issues and stuff. But what goes on behind the fence still can be checked out and taken care of and shut down. So, just so you understand that.
All the environmental laws still have to be maintained and adhered to, or...
Right.
And that's a question, I don't know if Bill or Randy or Jeff, so on repair places like this, does IBM have to do regular checks?
If they get complaints, they're complaint-based generally.
Okay, okay.
But if they get a complaint, they go and move on pretty quickly.
Okay.
But there's not, to my knowledge, there's not some like 2-year inspection or something like that, or every year. I think they're complaint-based, much like Mr. Wolf is to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So,
It's a personnel thing.
on that line of questioning, does the city fire department have any inspections or anything in these types of businesses?
I don't know regarding, they
Or-
certainly would with the structure, but I don't know about any of the, I don't know anything about I don't think chemicals on the ground outside or anything like that is in their purview. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah.
It's important to know too, and something we've not really addressed, but we're talking about a rezone. We're not talking about permitting this business in this
Right.
property. He's not like getting a special exception or variance to be able to put this use in this building. We're talking about whether this is a proper commercial property or not, whether it should be zoned local business or not. You see what I'm saying?
So
And then our
therefore-
rules dictate on what can go in that zone. You see what I'm saying?
Our rules
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Okay.
And whether our rules allow it or don't allow it, if he had to go get a special exception and put one in because it's not a permitted use, or it's, you see what I'm saying? But we're not here to approve the business. We're here to prove whether or not this should be rezoned for local business.
For local business.
And we're also gonna have to look at this one-way street.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
I mean, obviously not this board, but the city council.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only four in question or the only ones in question are these four
Right.
parcels.
This
Right now.
request is for 508, 501, 440, and 1020.
And is the request an all or none?
No,
Or
each
could we-
each parcel could be completely.
We could break them off
Sure.
into individuals.
Now, you want it, spot zoning is frowned upon,
Yes.
but, I mean, if you had a very strong reason for why you have made a distinction, sure.
I see, yeah. Any other questions? I would entertain a motion then. Thank you, Randy, I appreciate it. Entertain a motion to, let me make sure I get this right. Send a favorable recommendation to the city council, or a non-favorable recommendation, or no recommendation at all.
3 legal options, yep.
And once the motion is made, passed with, and seconded, it must be a simple
A
majority
majority of the board.
of the whole board.
Yep, so since there's two missing, it needs to be 5-2.
5-2 vote. So I'll entertain a motion of one of those three.
I'll make a favorable motion to rezone the four businesses, four locations, 1020 Meyer Avenue, 501 Maple Street, 440 Arians Avenue, and 508 Arians Avenue, from SR1, or single-family residence, to the local business LB.
I'll second it.
It's been a motion made and seconded that we send this board, the Area Planning Commission, send a favorable recommendation to the Connersville City Council for their them to look at and vote on themselves. I lost my train of thought there. I apologize for that. Is there any other discussions or questions? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Sparks,
In favor of the recommendation.
Darren Price,
Yes.
Bill Freed,
Yes.
Dale Munson,
Yes.
Gary Naylor,
Yes.
Brian Robb,
Yes.
Bill Mackey.
Yes.
And that's only the end of the voting people.
Okay. Motion to send a favorable recommendation to the Connersville Common Council passes with a unanimous vote. Thank you, everyone, for your input. But like Jeff said, we were not voting on whether a business operates there or not. It's whether that's local business or residential.
What would be the next step?
Okay, next step is the Connersville City Council. Now, starting tomorrow, I'll be out of the office until Wednesday. My first focus will be to Wednesday to get it out to the, so I can then get this forwarded to the city council then on Wednesday. And so hopefully, it'll be under the window to get it at the first meeting, city council's first meeting in June. If not, it'll be their second, and that'll be the first Monday of June or the third Monday of June. And what I will do is, once that's done, if it's set, I'll be letting you know, and I'll also be letting Mr. Bell know.
Question?
Yes.
Pertaining to the existing business, is that a permitted
Yes.
in the local business?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
So he will not have to
No.
go for
No.
any
No.
special exceptions?
No,
I
and I
understand that.
Yep, and I specifically recommended local business because there's a lot more things that you can put in with the general business. It's a more restricted business zoning district.
All right. Mr. Parker, I guess the only thing I'd like to add, on a personal note, I commend you on trying to create a business and run a business of your own, number one. Number two, I commend you on your willingness to build a privacy fence for securing your property and your clients' properties. But I would encourage you to, if you must have a gate on Maple, I would encourage you to make that an exit only. I think that would make it much safer in that neighborhood, and you could control the traffic flow on that one-way street better. However you may do that, whether you keep the gate shut until somebody needs to exit out or not. I have drove down there, and I think there's ample amount of space to get in and out of the property off of Meyer Street, and so I just would encourage you to try to continue to work with the neighbors. Everybody's got to get along.
Absolutely.
You know.
And, another one.
But I'm enthused about the business. I'm enthused that we do have young entrepreneurs coming to, or trying to stay in Connersville. But I would just encourage you to try to run as clean as possible. I know from time to time mechanic shops aren't the prettiest sights, but if you'll keep an effort at it, I think we can make this work. Anything else from the board?
And I think one thing that might help also is because as your one customer is saying, you know, leaving off on the Maple, you don't have a sign that tells you that you can see that it says no right turn, correct?
There is a sign, so if you're coming south on Maple Street and you come to that stop, where that three-way stop is, there are two do not enter
Do
signs
not,
coming south on Maple Street. But if you are on 501 Maple,
Yep.
and you come up to exit my property, there is no sign to the south.
Yeah.
Because that sign and that three-way
Maybe-
stop is to the north.
Maybe it would behoove you to put a sign on your property, no right turn, and that would help
Is Maple
alleviate.
to that point two-way?
I'm sorry?
yes.
So why is Maple just this block or
It's,
two?
it's about half the building, cause I got from right where it comes off right there.
From 6th
I
Street
got
to
the same
south.
thing when I drove past there the other day.
Because the way things are now, without a fence or gate there, people are using it like an alley.
Yeah,
We
east,
can't
from
control what
East
they
Fifth
do,
back
that's
to
what they
Meyer
do
there.
There's a couple of streets up there that are weird like that because we've taken the ambulance through there several different ways that are
But
really odd.
that one way isn't that old. Has it been in your tenure that they've made that one way, Brian?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I know they changed something up there, but I'm not sure if that's, I don't think.
But it's much narrower,
Yeah.
that last,
Yeah,
I think
from
that's-
East Fifth to Meyer, it is a little narrower, but it's two-way there
up to that.
up to that.
Yeah.
I would like to add, I don't know if it matters at all. It's not just, I mean, it's obviously not just my customers or anybody else's customers, or just the public that use that one way, the opposite way. I personally encountered and have on camera our city trash truck traveling the wrong way on that one way.
And
So
to be, in their defense, when you have totes on both sides of the street,
Yeah,
the truck has to go both ways, because it only,
it only dumps
There are
on one
totes
way.
on both sides, yes.
okay.
The only thing on, the west side of Maple Street there is my building, and our trash goes out on, Meyer there. So there are no trash totes on.
Okay. I'll see to that then.
So are they saying this isn't?
Yes.
But we have trouble with one-way streets.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's,
To me, it'd make more sense if they moved that, do not enter down to the end of the building there. That,
I don't know, that's a city thing.
Why?
Maple there.
I don't know.
Well,
So
I
from
understand
here up
why
is
it's a
two-way.
one-way, because there is a school pickup there, Frazee, and during the day when they're picking up children, there's quite a line there on Meyer. So you wouldn't necessarily want vehicles coming south on Maple Street to congest that further. So I understand, but I'm not contesting.
I can't speak why it was ever made one way or what instituted that, but I don't even know when it was. But
As far as one ways.
Some of these people
The
that
only
didn't
other
want
thing I have to
this,
comment on, if I can, I know that's been closed.
They're up in here.
If I can.
what's that got to do with the press
The
day?
petition that
That
Mr.
was part
Bell
of
had
my,
submitted, I know he had several names
my
on it.
reasoning.
Because they're not even
Several
on
of
this
those
map.
names in the petition, if you look
They're
at
on
it,
8th
are-
Street and 7th Street.
For the-
That's part of my.
If you look at it, I mean, they're not that neighborhood. You know, several of them are on 6th Street, Walkersville Way. Several others are on Arians, on the west side of it.
There's a lot on 8th Street up there too.
Some on 8th Street, even Beach Street, as well as one of the names, and I can't speak to all of them, but one of the names I know for sure that was listed on that petition is Sean Martin. I had gone around the neighborhood myself on Thursday and spoke with several of the neighbors, and I am almost certain that Sean Martin did not sign that petition. Now, I don't know if that matters. I mean, I know it is just a petition, but, you know, if he's signing fictitious names.
well,
Let's not delve
yeah,
into
let's not go there. But we just have to keep in mind that tonight
could strike
was
that from the record.
for a rezone.
Yeah,
I didn't take any
We're
notes
not,
on it.
voting on a business, you know, and that's what I that's what this board had to vote on, was not your business, but whether it could be a rezone
Right.
into local business. Whether it made good sense to make that corner local business or leave it as a residential. And I think it was very obvious that this board felt that it's important to get the zoning corrected for that corner. So, fair statement,
Fair.
board members. I think I'm speaking for everybody.
The public
so-
hearing and the discussion, I think needs to stop, quite frankly.
Yeah, so, anyway, we'll move on with our agenda. Thank you for your time, and we appreciate your inputs. We have, the Solar Energy Committee is moving forward. Would you
Yes,
say, Darren?
at the last meeting, I feel like we had a lot of good discussion, we have a group text, and I sent out to everybody involved. I think going in, I don't know about Gary, but I felt like it could get contentious, just with everything that was involved. Everybody has been very calm, very, can't even think of the word right now, but there's been a lot of good back and forth, and nobody has gotten angry or upset about the direction that either, that anyone is trying to take us in.
Okay.
So,
About any estimated timeline on when they may have something for to forward to the area plan commission?
I laid that out as
no later than October,
October meeting.
and that would give us
That
plenty
was
of
the
time
time frame
to
that
meet in
Jeff
February.
advised us last month, so
Yeah,
I went with that, and so,
and I think, Gary, I think like you said, I think it'll be sooner than that.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, oh, I do have a request, if whatever they're doing with the format, if it could be as close as possible to the current, so that it would be easier to do what I did with the parking regulations, you'll see that in a moment. So that we can actually go section by section and compare language from this section to this section. So we can do as closely as possible to that.
and I think eventually that can be done.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, yeah, if they can use the same format that we already have, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, we have the parking regulations in front of us that Bill put together. I think the,
I meant to print this in red, but I'll send everybody an email copy that will have the comments. A lot of the comments are gonna be in red, in text. You can see the lighter ones, those are the comments, such as the ones by Dale, and then some of the other changes. What I've tried to do is, here's the original, then the proposed amendment, then have the language for the proposed amendment. So some of them, there's only a few words, but still wanted to do that.
all right, and I guess my goal would be for us to take a look at this for next month, try to have a polished package ready to vote on and send to a public hearing
Yes.
by next month.
Yes, if you can get me the,
Adequate?
yes, if you can get me the comments and get me the comments and, because I guess maybe next month is then that way we can have a good discussion on the various comments and how to actually deal with those. What makes sense, what doesn't, so we can then come out of the June meeting with a product, then get it ready for a public hearing. So,
Okay. Any questions on the parking? Okay. Anything on zoning code amendments or the reformatted?
no.
Okay. Nothing there. We'll move on to the director's report. I believe you have that in front of you as well. Are there any questions for Bill as presented?
Are the two big numbers, Reed?
Okay, and now the biggest number we have so far is was for the Nova project up there. So that was $15,000 plus. Okay, and then the process with Reed is that they're waiting to go ahead and then cut the check for that. That'll be $25,000 plus for Reed. We've started this week doing the putting in foundation wall inspections. Okay, they're moving on pretty quickly also. Of course, if you've seen, anybody's seen the notices from the Nova project, that they're moving on pretty quickly with that also. But one thing also is that we pretty brisk clip as far as the permits over last year. And because it took me until probably in September, where we averaged 20 permits a month. We're over that now. April. And right now I have, I think, 3 permits to take care of when I get back from on next Wednesday. And we're probably going to push up between 110 and 120 permits by the end of this month.
Great.
So it's certainly picking up.
Bill, on the Reed project and the Nova project, your scope of knowledge, will you be able to inspect every bit of those 2 projects?
Well, what's happening is that, okay, in the discussions with both of them, they both have engineers coming in to inspect some things. There's other items where made clear that I wouldn't like to have their third party, because right now, from they have a company that's doing them. Okay, I'm getting all the reports from the inspections. I'm going out on site. But then their engineers also on site to also do the approval. So their approval between me and then their approval, I have records also of them that they send me. So that's going to be in my entire package from Reed. Now, same thing will be happening with the actual structural engineering, the construction of the building. Now, two that I've very specifically requested to make sure that they have a third party. Actually, I was asked if they wanted a third party for the medical gas. I said, yes, I need your third party sign off on the medical gas. I need the third party also on the ventilation test, because I'm not set up to even think about trying to do a vacuum test on ventilation systems. And those will be the main ones right there.
So is that other communities, is that usual and customary type of inspection that the contractor or the permittee gets the third party inspection?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Or should the county be getting the third party?
Well, the third party with some things could possibly have the option, but you really want to pass the cost. The person doing the project should pay it. Just like the design firm I worked for when I was in Boston, every time we had a project, is part of every bid package that we were putting together was included with every bid package, even when we were doing the design. There was always a place for a third-party inspector that we recommend to do the work for the actual, not the contractor, but doing the actual work and the inspections directly for the actual project owner, property owner. So this is, I would assume it's a common thing in Indiana, but when I was in New England, I mean, that was very common to do that way. But they would still have their own local building officials on site.
So will the Board of Commissioners have the opportunity to sign off on this third-party inspector?
Well, we would have to actually adopt something like that in the ordinances to do that in the future, but
now we cannot.
No, we don't. Now, what I would
So
suggest
we may get
is,
stuck with a pig in a poke.
yeah, well, yeah, most of these companies really aren't gonna, something like this really aren't gonna hire someone, because it is a good reputable company. The other one, now another one is okay, but yeah, it's pretty common to do that.
Okay.
But now one I would recommend thinking about is, especially since the city and the county have adopted, the construction standards, which also of course includes a lot more as far as the erosion control, and then also the groundwater.
Yes.
Yeah, the stormwater runoff. Now, I would suggest is maybe someone in with your group, have them do some of the research into ways that can be done within an ordinance with the county. Because as you know, in the city, with these projects, such as with Reed, when they're doing the stormwater, Westler does the analysis, but the proponent of the project is responsible for Westler's time.
Yes.
So then with Westler's right there, and then until actually then the payments to Westler is, it doesn't get released also until that happens. So it's something like that might be a good idea, and then we'd be dealing with seeing how we would handle that then with the commissioners with that type of thing. So that might be through the, might be something where it might expand the responsibilities of the drainage board.
Also, along with what Bill has said, the city and the county has adopted new construction standards. Bill, do you have that electronically that maybe you could send out to all the
No,
board members?
they're gonna get it sent to me with the electronically, and then I'll need to get on my site, on the Area Plan Commission site. We'll need to get those up, and then also the county site, just the county page and also the Plan Commission, but get a copy of that up on the,
No, he's asking, can you email them a copy?
oh, yeah.
The board members.
Oh, yeah,
answer's yes.
yeah, when I get the
Thank you.
final one with, because they're waiting to get the one then with all the signature pages.
Right.
So we have the one with the.
They don't even probably need signature pages as long as they
Okay.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
can get the
300
one.
and some pages long if you haven't seen it. It's quite lengthy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's quite a document.
And it's quite an upgrade over what we had,
Yes,
which
it
was
is.
good for when it was adopted.
Yeah, okay. So, is there any other questions about the director's report? I'll entertain a motion to accept it as presented.
So moved.
Dale?
Second.
Darren? Motion made and seconded that we approve the director's report as given. Any questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. If there's nothing else,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
been a motion made and seconded for adjournment. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, the same.
Jeff, you're supposed to.